Right, let's get one thing straight from the very beginning. If you've come here to read about the history of the Toyota Montero, you're in for a bit of a surprise. It's a bit like asking for the history of the Ford Mustang made by Chevrolet. It simply doesn't exist. The Toyota Montero is a phantom, a ghost in the machine, a car that was never actually built by Toyota. This might seem like a rather pedantic point to start on, but in the world of motor cars, getting the details right is frightfully important. It's what separates the true petrolhead from someone who just, well, drives a car from A to B without a second thought. So the first and most crucial fact is this: Toyota never made a vehicle called the Montero. Now you might be thinking, but hang on, I'm certain I've seen one. Or at least I've heard people talk about it. And you're not entirely wrong to be confused. The automotive world is filled with these little overlaps and muddles where names and badges can get switched around, especially in casual conversation. It's easy for these things to happen. A friend mentions a rugged old 4X4, the name gets slightly jumbled, and before you know it, an urban legend is born about a mythical Toyota. It's a classic case of mistaken identity, a simple mix-up that has somehow taken root in the minds of a few car enthusiasts. But fear not, we shall untangle this knot. The actual vehicle you're likely thinking of is a brilliant piece of engineering, just not from Toyota. It's a proper, tough-as-nails off-roader, one that has conquered deserts and jungles with remarkable dependability. This vehicle has a rich and celebrated history all its own, full of rally wins and adventurous spirit. It represents a golden era of Japanese 4x4s, when they were built to be simple, robust, and incredibly capable. The confusion is understandable because during that same period, Toyota was also building its own legendary off-road machine, the Land Cruiser. These two titans of terrain often competed for the same buyers, which probably added to the muddle. So, our task today is a bit like automotive archaeology. We must dig down through the layers of confusion to uncover the truth. We will correct the record and give credit where credit is due. Instead of discussing a car that never was, we will explore the history of the real Montero, a vehicle that deserves to be known by its proper parentage. This journey will take us from Japan to the treacherous dunes of the Dakar Rally and into the garages of loyal owners around the world. It's a story of a different Japanese giant, one that mastered the art of building dependable, go-anywhere vehicles. Let's begin. The car at the heart of this misunderstanding is, in fact, the Mitsubishi Montero. That's right, Mitsubishi, not Toyota. The Montero was Mitsubishi's flagship SUV, their answer to the likes of the Toyota Land Cruiser, the Nissan Patrol, and the Land Rover Discovery. It was a hugely important and successful model for the brand with the three diamonds. The name Montero itself means mountain hunter in Spanish, which was a rather fitting title for a vehicle designed to tackle the great outdoors. It was sold under this name primarily in Spain, the Americas, except Brazil, and India, which is why it's so familiar to many people. The confusion with Toyota is quite fascinating. In the 1980s and 1990s, Japanese car manufacturers were at the top of their game, producing some of the most reliable and well-engineered vehicles the world had ever seen. Toyota and Mitsubishi were two of the biggest players in this golden age. Both companies built incredibly similar vehicles in terms of purpose. Large, body-on-frame 4x4s designed for serious off-road duty. To the casual observer, a boxy, high-riding Japanese SUV from that era could easily be mistaken for one or the other. They shared a design philosophy of function over form, which resulted in a similar aesthetic. To make matters even more complicated, the Mitsubishi Montero was known by a different name in most other parts of the world. In its home market of Japan and across much of Asia, Europe, and Oceania, it was called the Mitsubishi Pajero. This name, however, proved to be a bit awkward in Spanish-speaking countries, as Pajero is a rather unfortunate slang term. To avoid any red faces at the dealership, Mitsubishi wisely decided to rebrand it as the Montero for those markets. So, you have one car, made by Mitsubishi, with two different names depending on where you are. It's no wonder things got a little muddled. Meanwhile, Toyota was busy building its own icon, the Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser and the Pajero or Montero were direct competitors, clashing in showrooms and on rally stages for decades. They were both born from a similar philosophy of creating a civilian vehicle with military-grade toughness. They appealed to the same type of buyer, media group. Adventurous person loading gear into Montero or Land Cruiser, off-road enthusiasts with their SUVs at stock at distribute equally, the adventurer, the farmer, the aid worker, the family that needed a vehicle that would never, ever let them down. This intense rivalry and the similar appearance of the two vehicles are the primary reasons why the Toyota Montero myth ever came to be. It was a simple slip of the tongue that blended two titans into one. The story of the Mitsubishi Montero, or Pajero, begins in 1982 with the launch of the first generation. This was a proper, no-nonsense machine. It was available as a 3-door with a short wheelbase or a 5-door with a longer one, offering practicality for both individuals and families. Early models were quite utilitarian, but they came with some surprisingly advanced features for the time, such as front suspension with a torsion bar, power steering, and even suspension seats to make bumpy rides more comfortable. It was an instant success, proving that you could have rugged capability without sacrificing basic comforts, a formula Mitsubishi would refine for years. The second generation, which arrived in 1991, is perhaps the most iconic. This is the Montero that many people picture in their minds. It was bigger, more rounded, and significantly more modern than its predecessor. Crucially, it introduced Mitsubishi's brilliant Super Select 4-wheel drive system. This was a revelation. It allowed the driver to switch between high-range 2-wheel drive and high-range 4-wheel drive at speeds up to 100 kilometers per hour. It also offered a locked center differential for serious off-roading. This system gave the Montero the on-road manners of a regular car, but the off-road guts of a mountain goat, making it incredibly versatile. By the time the third generation was launched in 1999, the market had changed. Buyers wanted more comfort and refinement, even in their large SUVs. Mitsubishi responded by giving the Montero a more revolutionary redesign. They did away with the traditional body-on-frame construction and replaced it with a monocoque chassis, where the body and frame are one single piece. This made it lighter, safer, and much better to drive on the road, though some purists argued it sacrificed a bit of ultimate off-road ruggedness. It was a bold move that aimed to blend the best of a tough 4x4 with a comfortable family car. The fourth and final generation debuted in 2006. It was more of an evolution than a revolution, building upon the strengths of the third-generation model. It featured revised styling, improved safety features, and a more luxurious interior. This version of the Montero or Pajero remained in production for an impressively long time, a testament to the soundness of its original design. However, with shifting market trends towards smaller, more efficient crossovers and stricter emissions regulations, Mitsubishi eventually decided to discontinue the legendary nameplate. Production for Japan ended in 2019, and global production wrapped up in 2021, marking the end of an era for this global traveler. The Mitsubishi Montero's legacy is defined not just by its sales figures but by its incredible success in the world of motorsport. Specifically, it dominated the most grueling off-road race on the planet, the Dakar Rally. Mitsubishi entered the rally almost from the very beginning of the car's life, and the results were astonishing. The Pajero or Montero holds the Guinness World Record for the most Dakar Rally wins by a manufacturer, with an incredible 12 victories, including a stunning run of 7 consecutive wins from 2001 to 2007. This wasn't just a marketing exercise. It was proof that the engineering was genuinely tough enough to survive the worst conditions imaginable. Another surprising fact is the Montero's connection to another famous brand. For a brief period in the late 1980s, Dodge, under the Chrysler umbrella, sold a rebadged version of the 2-door Montero in the United States. It was called the Dodge Raider. This was a classic example of badge engineering where one company sells another's car under its own name to fill a gap in its lineup. The Raider was mechanically identical to the Montero, offering American buyers a taste of Japanese 4x4 capability with a familiar domestic badge on the grille. It's a fun little footnote in the car's extensive history. The Montero also starred on the silver screen. A fleet of modified black Mitsubishi Montero models were used by the villains in the Jackie Chan film Armor of God 2 Operation Condor. This gave the car a bit of global exposure and a cool, if slightly menacing, on-screen presence. It's always interesting when a vehicle becomes part of popular culture, and its appearance in such a high-octane action film certainly cemented its image as a tough and capable machine. It was the perfect rugged vehicle for a classic 1990s action movie chase scene. In conclusion, while the Toyota Montero may be a myth, the vehicle that sparked the confusion, the Mitsubishi Montero, is a true automotive legend. It was a pioneer, a world traveler, and a motorsport champion. For 4 decades, it offered a brilliant blend of everyday usability and extraordinary off-road talent. It was the trusty companion for countless adventures, family holidays, and demanding jobs around the globe. It may no longer be in production, but its reputation for durability and capability ensures its place in the 4x4 Hall of Fame. It was, and always will be, a Mitsubishi, and a brilliant one at that.